Welcome to my video on connector pins, circular connectors, insertion and extraction. I've got a front release extractor, a rear release extractor, two examples of rear release pins here, and two examples of front release. Taking a look at the pins first off a little closer, let's zoom in a bit. We can see a couple of details on this pin. This is the actual pin that sticks out of in this case, the plug. Makes contact with the socket. This is a front release, so you can see there's a little shoulder here, a little notch in the shoulder right in here, and then it gets bigger, and then a little ring back there. Back here is the color code for this. Other than the diameter of the pins themselves, this large one for 1416, the small one for 2022, you can notice that the other dimensions are just about the same. Notice pins will stick out of the connector the same amount. The shoulders are in the same location and about the same diameter. So those are the front release. And how the front release will work, I'll take my front release tool. Got a little plunger that you can see moves a little rod out of there. So we'll take the front release tool. We slide it from the front of the connector over the pin. It goes over. See if you can see it, a little glare, but it's going to go over where that notch was and basically release the little spring fingers. And then we push the plunger and the pin's going to back out. So those are our front release pins. The sockets are the same, they're just sockets instead of pins. Here are our rear release. I've got a pin and a socket. You'll notice in this case the socket is much longer than the pin. That is because the plug, which is where the sockets reside, is much longer than the actual, if you see here, look how far back the pins are. These only have to be this long. That's why there's a difference in length. Other than that, this pin fits in this socket. So as we look at this, again, we can see the pin that sticks out of, in this case, the jack. And then a little ring. You can't see it, it's not really showing up, but there's a little indent here where the little spring keeper in the plug will hold it. And then you can see a color code, orange, blue, orange. How these extractors work, there's several kinds. This is what's called the tweezers kind. It's got a tweezers action with a hole all the way through it. If this pin was in the plug, I'd slide the tweezers over the wire. See this so it can go back and forth. The tweezers goes down over the pin, and again when it gets down here it's going to release that little keeper in the connector, going to push those springs apart, and then we can push on the front with a dull blunt object, maybe push on the front and gently pull the wire and pull this to the rear. The other type of extractor available are the plastic or metal extract insert, and they're color coded. Works very much the same. There's a little slot. Push my wire down in the slot and then slide this down again over the connector, and that will again push those little fingers apart and I can pull the wire out. Let's take a look at how we will research this data then. We've got, let's just take a look at the 3899 series connector. And what we've got going on here with these 3899s, we know that our plug and our jack are 27467, 27468. We see that the 27467 is an LT type connector. That's important to know. We'll see that why. And a 27468 is also an LT type connector. And then these are the dimensions, not usually very pertinent for us as mechanics. So here we go. So this is a JT LT pins and JT LT sockets. So the MS20, or this contact size 20, are M3902958-363. All right, now that we have Taking a look at the pins and sockets, let's take a look at actually extracting one. We'll start with the rear release just because it's handy. And again, this was the strain relief, which has to be taken off. So we spin that off. So I've got my removal tool. I select a wire, put the tweezers over it. Tweezers is over it. You can see that it slides up and down. I just insert it. I can bend my wire back over and pull, and out it comes. There we go. There we go. There's our pin extracted. If we want to insert one, we find our pin number. This can be a little tricky, knowing the numbers. That tells us there that that's B, and then C, the numbers up on top of it. So all I have to do, I push it in, and it clicked, and as I tug on it, it doesn't pull out. That's as simple as doing the rear release. Now let's take a look at our front release connector. You can see I've taken the strain relief and I've undone it. And these screw together like this. I just screwed it back on itself so I don't lose it. Pulled the back shell off. Here we go. This blue one is for the larger pins. The red one is for the smaller. I just put it over. Let's zoom in and see if we can capture this a little better. Just slide it over the pin and down through the face of the connector. Took a little bit to get it through the face. Now watch as I push the plunger. It comes out the back. Pin is released completely. I can grab the wire, grab this with the pliers, whatever. Pull it out, just like that. So, there's our little demonstration on extracting pins, front release and rear release. I hope this helps you. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.